Each year, in the United States alone, more than 150 million Christmas decorations are used. That's more than the entire population of some European countries. Yet few people know that the majority of these decorations come from small villages in Germany, Poland, and Mexico. So, what makes these artisan workshops the true beating heart of Christmas around the world? Behind every sparkling ornament lies a centuries-old craft tradition. Transforming raw glass through shaping, coloring, silvering, and meticulous work, giving birth to pieces that have become icons of the holiday season. From forest villages in Europe to factories operating day and night, the world of Christmas ornaments has been built around an unwavering value, transforming a fragile material into an object capable of preserving light, memory, and emotion. To understand how such a small object became the cornerstone of a multi-billion-dollar industry, we must explore how the ornament earned its unique place in global Christmas culture. Over 500 years ago, Christmas decorations were nothing more than red apples hung on fir branches to symbolize light in the heart of winter. From this simple tradition, German artisans began blowing glass to create spheres capable of reflecting light far more brilliantly than any other material of their time. This custom spread throughout Europe and then reached the United States, giving rise to an industry now worth several $billion. Today, Christmas ornaments exist in two very different worlds. In artisan workshops, a single piece entirely handmade can require up to 10 days of work, layer upon layer, from coloring to hand-painted decoration, including the application of silver inside. Conversely, in automated factories, production lines can manufacture up to 60,000 pieces per hour to meet global demand. Two paces, two methods, but the same goal: to preserve a Christmas symbol that has endured for over 5 centuries. Silica sand is the main ingredient in glassmaking, but before reaching the furnace, it must be refined to achieve a precise level of purity. Inside the facility, the sand undergoes several screening stages to remove soil, gravel, and irregularly sized particles. A high-pressure washing system then removes organic matter and fine dust adhering to each grain, bringing the material to a clean and uniform state. On some production lines, the sand also undergoes magnetic separation to remove traces of iron oxide responsible for the undesirable greenish tint of the finished glass. Once this purification phase is complete, the sand is dried and then mixed with soda and limestone in very precise proportions. The consistency of this mixture is essential, as it ensures homogeneous melting, limits the formation of air bubbles, and allows for the clarity required for glass as fine as that used for ornaments. The mixture is then introduced into a furnace operating continuously at extremely high temperatures. Inside, the heat often exceeds 2000 degrees Fahrenheit, or about 1093 degrees Celsius, a temperature sufficient to break down the silica grains and gradually transform the entire mixture into a liquid. At this stage, the material is not yet transparent. It initially appears as a thick, cloudy mass before gradually becoming a homogeneous, highly viscous molten glass. Inside the furnace, heat flow is precisely controlled to ensure uniform heating and prevent cold spots that could create bubbles or streaks in the final product. At the exit of the melting zone, a refining section plays a crucial role. It removes any remaining impurities and trapped air bubbles, giving the glass the purity necessary for blowing ornaments. Once this step is complete, the molten glass becomes a uniform, shiny, and stable flow, ready to be drawn into thin tubes, the basis of all hand-blown or machine-blown ornaments. In artisan workshops, the molten glass is not immediately blown. It is first drawn to form a tube. This shape is ideal for ornamentation, as its thin walls allow for even expansion during blowing, reducing the risk of uneven thickness. The artisan brings the molten glass to the blowpipe using a heat-resistant metal rod, which is constantly rotated to distribute the temperature. The glass is then gradually drawn out by pulling back, forming a long tube whose thickness depends directly on the rhythm of the movement and the speed of rotation. The slightest variation affects the weight of the tube and its reaction to heat during blowing. Once the desired length is reached, the tube is moved away from the heat source and cools slowly in the open air. This phase is not passive. The tube is continuously rotated on a heat-resistant stand to maintain its roundness and reduce internal stresses, the main cause of cracking during blowing or subsequent silvering. Any section with an irregularity is immediately rejected. The conforming tubes are then cut into segments of uniform length, each destined to become a unique ornament. When the glass is still glowing and malleable, it's the perfect time to apply color and visual effects. The craftsman then places the preform in contact with trays of very fine colored glass particles, called frits. Under the intense heat, these particles instantly adhere to the surface and begin to soften, fusing with the outer layer of the glass rather than simply forming a coating. This technique allows color to become an integral part of the material, offering depth, brilliance, and durability. After the color adheres, the glass is reintroduced into the heat for a controlled melting phase designed to seamlessly integrate the colored particles into the surface. Under continuous rotation and at a controlled temperature, the colors spread and stabilize, creating visual depth rather than a simple colored film. Once the color has stabilized, the piece is cooled gently to solidify the structure before the blowing stage. When the colored layer is stable and the glass reaches its ideal plasticity, the blowing process begins. Air is introduced into the hollow interior of the tube, causing the glass to expand under the combined effect of pressure and surface tension. Naturally, hot glass seeks its most stable form, the sphere. Throughout the blowing process, the piece is rotated to distribute the material evenly and control the wall thickness, often reduced to a few tenths of a millimeter. Once the desired size is reached, the ornament is separated from the tube, leaving a small neck that will serve as a suspension point. At this stage, the final shape is achieved. Next comes the silvering stage. A specific solution is introduced inside the sphere, which is then rotated so that the liquid evenly coats the entire internal surface. A chemical reaction causes the metallic silver to precipitate, forming a continuous reflective layer. The interior gradually becomes mirror-like, creating the characteristic luminous effect of the ornaments. Once the silver plating has stabilized, the excess is removed, and the piece is rinsed and then dried. After this step, the ornament moves on to the exterior finishing. A base coat of paint is applied to define the main color and protect the internal silver layer. The ornaments are then decorated according to the design, using hand painting, sequins, ephemeral patterns, or intricate designs. Each decoration must interact with the light reflected from within the glass, giving the ornament its unique final appearance. Once all the finishing touches are complete, each ornament reveals its final form, the result of a precise balance between material, light, color, and craftsmanship. Behind each sparkling decoration, centuries of expertise are sometimes hidden. So tell us, for you, is a Christmas decoration primarily an emotional object filled with memories, or simply a seasonal consumer product? Share your thoughts in the comments. We want to know your opinion on this topic. If you enjoyed this documentary, please like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our content.